Good evening and thanks for joining us on NTA Nationwide. My name is Kenan Ima Aborike. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has arrived San Francisco this Sunday to begin a two-day visit to the United States. His flight touched down at the Atlantic Aviation Support Airport at about 6 p.m. local time. The Vice President was received on arrival by the Ambassador of Nigeria to the United States, Silvanus Nsofo, and Consul General Atlanta, Kayode Laro. While in the country, the Vice President is scheduled to have meetings with some global leaders in technology, innovation and entertainment industries on the progress the country is making in the sectors. He will also speak on the efforts of government on the ease of doing business in the country and the readiness for direct foreign investment in these sectors and other areas of the economy. Vice President Osinbajo will also be visiting Hollywood in Los Angeles before returning to Nigeria on Thursday. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the Vice President is being accompanied on the trip by Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Okechukwu Enelama, Special Advisor to the President on Economic Matters Adeyemi Dipolu, and heads of relevant agencies, as well as other top government officials. Troops in Borno State have rescued a female child abandoned by Boko Haram terrorists who fled on sight in the army. Army spokesman Brigadier General Texas Chukwu in a statement said the troops on clearance operation also recovered 3 AK-47 rifle magazines and 1 FN rifle magazine and 1 suicide vest from the terrorist. He said other items recovered include 1 dry cell battery, 1 36 hand grenade, 2 9-volt batteries, 1 pressure plate, wire for making improvised explosive devices, and 2 grinder machines. The United Nations Children's Fund has applauded the release of 180 children from the Nigerian Armed Forces in Maiduguri, Borno State. The children aged 7 to 18, comprising 8 girls, 173 boys, are said to have been cleared of all ties with Boko Haram. UNICEF, in a statement commending the military towards its commitment to protecting children affected by conflict, says it will continue to work with Borno State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development partners to provide the children with all the assistance they need. Now, the presidency is appealing to all citizens as well as members of the international community to refrain from spreading false stories and inflammatory statements concerning the recent herders and farmers' clashes. Senior Special Assistant to the President, Garba Shehu, in a statement, says the government is working closely with state governments and the security services, as well as international partners, in order to resolve these ongoing issues. The clashes between herders and farmers, according to him, are historical, stating that causes of these confrontations are varied and complex. Garba Shehu mentioned climate change, specifically the drying up of the Chad Basin, as the major reason for increased pressure on the population in the north of Nigeria, which has further compounded the problem. He described climate change as an issue of global significance and that Nigerian government is determined to continue working closely with its neighbors in order to ensure that a long-term solution is implemented. He said the federal government makes no distinction amongst the population and works tirelessly to protect all Nigerian people. Still on security matters, Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly matters, Senator Ita Enang, says the federal government is tackling insecurity in the country. The Special Advisor said this when he hosted students of the Nigerian Law School, Abuja. Ita Enang, who attributed the actions of terrorists as a fallout of ECOWAS Free Movement Protocol, said the government was considering reviewing the application of the protocol to reduce the effect of persons coming to Nigeria to do havoc. He said government was doing a lot to ensure that insecurity does not go beyond the Middle Belt to the south, and urged the students to continue to have hope for a better country. The representative of the students, Victor James, commended the efforts of government so far in the fight against terrorism. Inspector General of Police has ordered commissioners of police and their supervising assistant inspectors general of police to scale up security in their areas of responsibilities (AOR) and embark on massive raids of criminal hideout and flashpoints across the country. In a statement by Force Public Relations Officer Jimo Moshood, the IGP urges the commissioners of police to work with community, religious leaders, other stakeholders and public-spirited individuals to nib in the bud crimes and criminalities in their areas of responsibilities. This is consequent on the recent ambush attack and killing of 7 policemen at Galadimawa roundabout, FCT Abuja, on the 2nd July 2018 by armed robbers. The force therefore implores members of the public to cooperate with the police personnel deployed in their localities to sustain the temper of the fight against violent crimes in the country, as protection of lives and property remains unequivocal and unwavering. Data indicates that between 80 and 90% of civilians are affected when explosive devices are used in public places. The International Network on Explosive Weapons is a partnership calling for immediate action to prevent their use. Hadiza Naja'atu Tijani reports.
Explosive weapons detonated by suicide bombers have led to a disruption of key humanitarian sectors, including healthcare, education and security. In 2015 alone, these weapons accounted for more than 2,000 casualties in northeastern Nigeria, resulting in internal displacement and disruption of socio-economic activities. The International Action Network on Small Arms Women Network says, though the government is slowly winning the war against insurgency, more needs to be done to overcome the threats posed by these explosive weapons.
And we as a women group think that if we are not in the forefront of advocating for peace to come in this country, who else will do that? We have to start from within.
When we don't know the number of people who are affected with the use of explosive weapons, we would not know how to project intervention.
That if there are policies, not just policies, but if there are measures that will ensure that those policies are adhered to strictly, that will go a long way.
The seminar drafted an 8-point action plan which includes encouraging collection of data on the impact of explosive weapons on civilians in populated areas as outlined in the Maputo communique. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Over now to our Lagos Network Center, where Hingino is standing by with trending news.
For joining us in Lagos. Rotary International says the organization will continue to augment government's effort by providing basic amenities and growing local economies for poverty alleviation through articulated programs that will impact on humanity. This was reiterated during the installation ceremony of the 38th District Governor, Kola Shodipo, of District 9110. Amakawa witnessed the event in Lagos and now reports.
That was the formal installation of Kola Shodipo as the 38th District Governor of Rotary International District 9110 Lagos. Mr. Shodipo promises to strengthen and continue ongoing initiatives, especially in the areas of health and education.
In the area of health, we shall fully equip, identify primary healthcare centers in our district.
Other eminent members and partners of the organization urged the new district governor to engage in humanitarian services for the good of all.
It's not about money alone. You can contribute any of your 3 T's: time, talent, and treasure. And the more of those that you can contribute, the better for the community.
We have challenges of literacy, polio, water and sanitation and so on, which are part of the focus for this Rotary year. So we should be up and doing as we ought to do.
Recounting giant strides achieved in the last year, outgoing Governor Wale Ogumbadejo believes that the completion of the vocational center at Ibobo Ikorodu is already assisting women and youth to acquire skills for self-reliance.
This prevention and treatment, maternal and child and of course also on basic and education. So we all try to address the needs based on the needs of our communities. And each community has its own varying needs. So we try to meet the needs in all these areas of focus.
Rotary International has about 1.2 million members and partners across 200 countries of the world. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Some Nigerian artists have stressed the need for the government at all levels to assist in harnessing the potential in the nation's creative industry, especially the visual arts sector. They were speaking at a forum in Lagos where issues bordering on investment acceptance and promotion of artworks formed part of discourse. Elizabeth Omori reports.
Potential in the creative sector has contributed to the gross domestic product of the nation, which is why the role of entertainers cannot be overlooked. Records show that in 2015, the sale of art pieces raked in $45 billion, according to statistics by the International Culture Art Fest records. This gathering of artists seeks to provide a platform for them to chart a way forward, develop new digital techniques, and revolutionize artworks to transform lives and provide entertainment.
We need to get more people around art. We need to get more collectors and then more people interested in art. That way the industry will grow bigger.
African art is a testimony of ingenuity of human reason and was produced in art form. It's not just something you go to do by your PhD.
We need to look for strategies, that people will surely buy into.
Female artists at the forum used the opportunity to call on the government to create an enabling platforms for Nigerian female artists to thrive.
You must expect yourself. The more you work, the better you become.
This is the only way that we can change the mindset of the society, re-educate the society about the impression of the society.
About 30 artists are expected to showcase their works at the forthcoming International Culture and Art Fest. In Lagos, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Nigerians have been admonished to imbibe the spirit of forgiveness in any circumstance. Religious clerics stated this at the 20th Fidel Prayer Anniversary of late Chief MKO Abiola held in Ikeja, Lagos. Tunde Saiki has details.
July 7, 1998 has gone down in the nation's history as the date Chief MKO Abiola died and was laid to rest in accordance with the Islamic rites. In commemoration of this date, annually, families, relatives and friends, as well as associates, gathered at his residence at Ikeja to offer prayers for the repose of his soul. This year, the message of forgiveness was the focus of the sermon.
Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgive people in your life, even those who could not say sorry for their action.
Some relatives of the late politician, Chief MKO Abiola, used the day to appreciate the federal government for the recognition of their patriarch, who died in detention while being prosecuted for standing on his mandate as the presumed winner of the annulled presidential election.
We should not think of ourselves alone. We should think of our brothers, our sisters. We should help wherever we can help. It is not necessarily through fiscal help, monetary help. You can help by advice.
Nigerians, particularly those of us who find ourselves in position of leadership, would show that kind of empathy to our fellow Nigerians. And instead of giving them, pittance, let us teach them how to fish. Let us take them out of poverty.
The prayer session featured appreciation to Nigerians who supported the family during the period. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
And those are stories from Lagos at this hour. It's back to you, Kenya, in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Hingino. Ahead of the 2019 general elections, the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, VON, and Chieftain of All Progressives Congress, APC, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, has urged Ndibo to accept the olive branch offered to them by President Muhammadu Buhari. President Buhari, through the Secretary to Government of the Federation, SGF, Mr. Boaz Mustafa, for the second time, offered Ndibo the olive branch in Owerri by reminding them that it would be their turn to produce President of Nigeria of Igbo extraction in 2023, going by the zoning convention. Mustafa, however, noted that a realization of a Nigerian president of Igbo extraction lies on the support of Ndibo for President Buhari in 2019. Answering questions on the raging issue of RAPC from journalists in Enugu on Sunday, Okechukwu brushed aside the emergence of RAPC and urged Ndibo to pluck the olive branch offered by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Inspector General of Police has deployed 30,000 police personnel for Ekiti State's July 14th gubernatorial election. A statement signed by the Force Public Relations Officer Jimo Moshood says the Deputy Inspector General Operations has been deployed to the state and will be assisted by an Assistant Inspector General of Police, 4 Commissioners of Police, 8 Deputy Commissioners of Police, and 18 Assistant Commissioners of Police. Commissioners of Police in 3 contiguous states to Ekiti State are also to deploy their personnel massively to ensure security and prevent influx of migrants, thugs, and criminals into the state. The statement says 2 patrol surveillance helicopters, additional armored personnel carriers, armored personnel vehicles, police patrol vehicles, police officers, and personnel of other security and safety agencies have all been deployed as part of measures to guarantee a peaceful and credible election. Also, restriction of vehicular movement in and out of Ekiti State will commence from 12 midnight of Friday, 13th July 2018 till the end of the election. The need for Nigeria's political clerks with proven record of corruption to be held accountable for their actions was the thrust of the 5th inaugural lecture of Kogi State University, Ayumba. Francis Udojo tells us more.
With the lecture titled Scientific Elegance and Political Naivety of Food and Wood Sufficiency in Nigeria, the take of an agroforester, Professor Oluwagbemi, suggested psychiatric evaluation for the political class to determine their mental fitness before contesting elections. While advocating a more compact government to cut down wastage on governance, the professor also recommended that any tier of government who fails to pay public servants and retirees for 2 months should be impeached.
If you don't get it right politically, you will just be wandering in the forest. And you know, in the forest, they say there's no paddy in the jungle. So we need to have an order that all of us can aspire to achieve a national goal.
Agroforestry, he said, should be used by the Great Green Wall Agency to establish the corridor of plantation in states of operation. The agroforester, who took his audience on several issues including environment and food sufficiency, proposed that Nigeria should enact a law to check population growth. The Vice-Chancellor of Kogi State University, Ayumba, Professor Muhammad Sani Abdulkadri, described the lecture as thorough and a well-researched paper. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Let's pause for some messages. More news when we return.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
NTA Tuesday Live this week focuses on the new dimension in the fight against corruption, especially with Executive Order 6 signed by President Muhammadu Buhari. NTA Tuesday Live, incisive and educative. Don't miss it. When you think about hospitality and affordable luxury away from home, then you talk about Sharon Ultimate Hotels, a secured and serene environment that offers kingly services such as 24-hour room service, impeccable security with CCTV surveillance, parking lots, free Wi-Fi internet service, free complimentary breakfast, restaurants that offers continental and local dishes, well-equipped fitness center with instructors, swimming pool, 350 capacity multipurpose hall, laundry service, pastry corner, mini mart, and our suites are breathtaking. For reservation, locate us at plot 1710, Tafawa Balewa Way, Area 3, Garikia, Abuja. Sharon Ultimate Hotels, the ultimate place.
Welcome back to NTA Nationwide. Sensitization of school-age children on fire outbreak as efforts intensify to curb road accidents. Nura in Sokoto has these reports and more. Over to you, Nura.
Thank you, Kene, and welcome to Sokoto. Officials of the Federal Fire Service in Sokoto have been challenged to broaden their services by sensitizing school-age children on causes and dangers of fire outbreak. Sheikh Muhammad Datu reports that Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar threw the challenge when he received the federal fire officer in charge of Sokoto on a courtesy call. The report.
Sultan Saad said even though fire outbreaks and other natural disasters are the primary responsibilities of the fire service, there is the need for wider sensitization on dangers of such disasters. He called on the officials to do more in the area of sensitization in the state and appreciated the establishment of the office in Sokoto. Federal Fire Service officer in charge of Sokoto, Muhammad Bello Jibril, from the Sultan that records have shown that there were over 380 fire outbreaks, with 10 lives lost, over 2 billion naira lost, by property of over 2 billion naira saved in 2016 in Sokoto. And in 2017, over 500 fire outbreaks were recorded, with property worth millions of naira saved. The Deputy Superintendent of Fire, Jibril Bello, said they are at the palace to inform the Sultan of their presence in Sokoto. He said currently only 3 of them are from Sokoto in the service, calling for more indigenes to join the service. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army Education Corps has reiterated its commitment to partner with willing stakeholders to improve the standard of education in Nigeria. The commandant of the Corps, Major General Lawal Faskari Abdullahi, made this known while on a visit to Nigerian Army Command Science Secondary School, Jega. The report. The Corps' collaboration of various progress so far achieved in the newly established school to avail Kebiset indigenes access to services of the Corps. The Commandant, Major General Lawal Faskari Abdullahi, said, addressing the question of accessibility and standard in education, requires collaboration of various service providers to succeed. The Commandant lauded the commitment of Kebbi State government in the establishment and development of the school. Major General Lawal Abdullahi also said services provided by the school and its sisters across the country are equal to none.
By that, the school will be able to generate revenue and also contribute its quota in the national development, especially towards carving out examination malpractices.
The Commandant commended the leadership of the school for demonstrating commitment to excellence. Highlights of the Commandant's visit was the commissioning of a 200-capacity ICT center and inspection of some facilities in the school. To curtail road crashes and other traffic offenses on Nigerian roads. The Commandant RS-10 Federal Road Safety Commission Omoyale Ayotunde stated this while briefing newsmen in Sokoto. Hussein Idris Jega has the story.
The Zonal Commandant of the Federal Road Safety Commission, Omiale Oyobami, highlighted the activities of the Commission during the year under review. The Commandant gave a comparative statistical data of the road crashes, death and injured victims from January to June 2017 and 2018. He stated that in 2017, the road crashes recorded by the Commission were 214 persons against 121 in 2018, which indicates a decrease in the road crashes with about 43.3% in the 3 state commands under the zone. The number of injured victims recorded reduced to about 34.4%.
All the issues pertaining to their documentation, such as the passenger's manifest, speed limiting device, overloading, and where not to overtake, where and where to be overtaken.
The Commandant further stated that the Commission is doing its best to collaborate with stakeholders in the industry to curtail offences by road users through seminars, workshops, and other public interactions. He advised commuters to shun patronizing roadside motor parks as it portends danger of kidnapping and money rituals, among others. From Sokoto, Hussein Idris Jega, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Sokoto. Is back to Kene in Abuja for more nationwide. Good evening.
Thank you, Nura. The signing of Presidential Executive Order No. 6 by President Muhammadu Buhari has been described as a proper tool that will ultimately complement the ongoing war against corruption. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, however, advised the federal government to evolve other strategies that will ensure that the rule of law and provisions of the Constitution are obeyed, while structures for managing seized assets are not allowed to rot away. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari last week declared a national emergency on corruption and consequently signed the Executive Order No. 6 aimed at preserving assets connected with corruption and other related cases. It also seeks to prevent the alleged corrupt people from using proceeds of these assets to fight back. Special Assistant to the President on Financial Crimes, Biodun Aikomo, says the order will be implemented in line with provisions of the law.
This is a coordinated framework of action, of implementation, which will be coordinated and directed through the Office of the Attorney General.
For member of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Sadiq Rada, and civil society activist Reverend David Ugolo, the executive order is necessary to give new vigor to the fight against corruption.
This is a very unusual problem that has really crashed this country, and you require unusual ways, but of course lawyers will say within the law, and I believe within the law, but it has to be done in a very drastic manner.
The reason why we must support and continue to support this executive order is that it will help empower the law enforcement agency in Nigeria to take steps in ensuring that crime must not pay.
And former Secretary General of the Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osegwe, wants government to strengthen the fight against corruption by reviewing loopholes that provide incentives to corrupt persons.
The man to steal ₦1 billion. How do we plug those holes? These are the issues. You and I are paying the price of corruption. Nobody likes it, and nobody should profit from his crime.
The guests equally called for speedy passage of the proceeds of crime bill pending at the National Assembly. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, says President Muhammadu Buhari has succeeded where past leaders failed, as he has embarked on unprecedented projects and policy moves that are reforming Nigeria and delivering on the promises he made. In a statement signed by Austin Brimore and Cassidy Madweke, chairman and secretary respectively, the Buhari Media Organization described as baseless remarks from the reformed All Progressives Congress that Buhari's administration is a failure. The group also stated that the Anchor Borrowers Program of the Buhari administration has been giving loans to farmers engaged in rice and wheat farming, and that so far it has given loans to over 250,000 farmers, leading to historical high production in local food crops and particularly setting the country on the path of rice sufficiency. The BMO called on the Oshomole-led APC to seek a declaration of the court to declare the Buba Galadima-led RAPC illegal, and also advised that it commences processes of expelling them from the party. It, however, commended genuinely aggrieved members of the party who had stuck through thick and thin with the party and are willing to work with the new leadership of the party to resolve the various challenges the party is facing. The voices of a united action to address the proliferation of unhygienic water resources and factories are getting louder. The latest is that of the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, who at a meeting with hydrological experts on how to comprehensively utilize underground water in the Sahel region, appealed for collaboration with state governments. Mia Ogidi now tells us more.
The Sahel region covers an estimated 7 million square kilometers, with 135 million inhabitants in 10 countries, including Nigeria, and most of the people here depend on underground water. In view of the pains the people go through in search of water, that the International Atomic Energy Agency is to use isotopic techniques to utilize the 0.66 cubic feet of underground water in the Sahel region, with Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon and Chad as pilot countries. To receive this assistance from the agency, pilot states must come up with methodology to be adopted. So, these are some of the best brains in the hydrological family in Nigeria, putting pen to paper to come up with the country position.
The essence of this project is to translate research into policy.
In effect is to make sure that ways of providing much more water for the country is enhanced.
For the Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, availability of water and its level of iodine in all parts of the country is also critical.
Checking not only the drinking water, but the source, the water from the source, so that we know the quality, whether it's even suitable for treatment. So states have to do more, they have to invest more on water and sanitation.
Nigeria presently has 4 standard centers for the testing of quality of water. Mie Ogidi, NT News.
Nigeria and the International Fund for Agricultural Development has set aside $93.5 million for the development of agricultural activities in 7 states prone to desert encroachment. The initiative, tagged Climate Adaptation and Agribusiness Support Program, undertakes enterprise development initiatives for women and youths in 727 rural communities across the participating states. Musa Baba Aliyu has more.
The Nigeria IFAD Climate Adaptation and Agribusiness Support Program is being implemented in the 7 states of Borno, Jigawa, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe and Zamfara, which constitute the savanna belt of Nigeria. The goals of the program include reducing poverty, increasing food security, accelerating sustainable economic growth, and reducing vulnerability for smallholder farmers, particularly women and young people.
The 7 states where we are working, soil and water conservation, water harvesting are major issues that we want members of the community to improve on what they have been doing.
In all the 727 farming communities, beneficiaries of the program are being trained on the best agronomic practices to further boost their yield in an area that is under environmental threat.
Then we establish a school, a field school, where all these farmers will come and work together to learn things by doing it. Then if it is an issue of drought, we encourage and teach them how to source improved varieties that are early maturing.
They provided training on gaps, and out in the field, most of the farmers confirm that they've received such training.
Financial education and literacy, culture of savings and marketing are also parts of the training the farmers are undergoing. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, Daura Emirate Council has described the recent reports via social media and online media on land tremor in the area as false and mischievous with baseless background. The Galadiman Daura, senior councillor in the Emirate, Alhaji Ahmad Didiri Ahmad, stated this in an interview with NTA correspondent Aliyu Rabi Aliyu on issues bordering land tremor in the area, published on social and online media. The images were circulating among social media networks, especially Facebook and WhatsApp, with the heading Earth Tremor in Daura. The senior councillor of the Emirate says there is no such tremor case in the area, even in the history of the Emirate. It says the Emirate received such pictures over a month ago, and it was said in Agadez, in the Niger Republic, in which the Emirate itself contacted people of Agadez and clarified that there is no such case in the area.
Earth trauma in Daura, and the scenery definitely is not Daura. Sure, there are soil erosions here, but if you really look at it, most of these erosions are what I would say are initially caused by us, we people, digging without digging the way we just want to dig the soil.
Alhaji Ahmad advised people to avoid curating fake news, especially those that cause confusion. He described soil erosion as the only hazardous element that affects the area due to many activities like digging for bricks and after construction activities. NTA visited some of the areas which indicate a lot of soil erosion that look like fake land tremor. Also speaking, Abubakar Adidas, member Katsina State House of Assembly, expressed shock on the circulation of the news, describing it as false for the interest, or rather the selfish interest, of people who are not from the area. He appealed to the government for intervention in the major environmental disaster of the area, which is flooding. We now take another break. More stories to come. Do stay with us.
The broadcast sector is evolving. Operators, including cameramen and photographers, require new skills and techniques to churn out world-class productions. A unique opportunity is open to all. NTA TV College Jos is organizing a 4-week intensive short course in camera operation techniques aimed at enhancing the professional skills of cameramen and photographers, practicing and freshers. Date 16th July to 10th August 2018. Another 4-week intensive short course in photojournalism and photography holds 13th August to 7th September 2018. Venue for both courses is the TV College premises, NTA TV College, Rayfield, Jos. Fee 100,000 Naira per participant. Accommodation inclusive. For more inquiries, contact us on 0806 980 9807 and 0703 660 7155. TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
When you hear that sound, you know that Nigeria's most authentic newscast is about to begin. NTA Network News, breaking the news for over 40 years.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Nationwide. Northwest governors meet in Kaduna as Emir of Dutse flags off distribution of 2018 Zakat. Let's join Rukaya in Kaduna for details of these and more. Hello, Rukaya.
And thank you. Welcome to Kaduna. Forum of Northwest Governors has resolved to harness the untapped resources of the region to boost agriculture and enhance job opportunity that will engage the youth and reduce unemployment. The governors stated these at the end of their meeting in Kaduna. Muhammad Umar Ajengi reports.
Top on the governor's agenda include the quest for Northwest Commission tackling security challenges, poverty, illiteracy, and low power generation in the region. After several hours behind closed doors, the governors came up with these resolutions.
Part of the problem of this banditry, also education comes into it. Agriculture comes into it. Because when you talk about agriculture, you talk about livestock. So I think it's all, we have discussed it, and we believe that there should be a much more fundamental approach.
The challenge here is that we will continue to put in this effort, but I see a lingering problem, and that is planning. You cannot plan for a population you do not know. So this free movement thing has to be relooked.
On the proposed state police being canvassed in some quarters, the forum says it is a great idea that will address pockets of violence in most communities. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
And the Emir of Dutse in Jigawa State, Dr. Nuhu Muhammadu Sanusi, has distributed cash to the tune of more than 20 million naira as zakat paid by wealthy individuals in conformity with Islamic injunction. Awal Muhammad Kazauri reports that the exercise covers all the 7 local government areas of the emirate.
Zakat collection and distribution in Dutse Emirate was introduced by the Emir, Dr. Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, 15 years ago in fulfillment of Islamic injunctions for the wealthy individuals to assist category of the poor and those in need. It involves cash and grains collection and distribution being carried out in each center where the zakat is collected. Only recently, the Emir distributed grains worth millions of naira to the needy. This time around is for the collection of cash and given to those specified according to Islamic injunctions. The Emir described the policy as paying up, as it has created a bond of unity and peaceful coexistence between the haves and the have-not. He spoke through the Galadiman Dutse, Basira Sanusi.
You see how the poor people collected, how they are happy when they are collected, more especially at this time of the year, that the rainy season has started, and I hope that those people who have collected the card today, next year they will be the person who are going to give out the card so that we can be able to other people.
By giving out zakah, inshallah, the gap between the poor, the needy, and the higher level class will, inshallah, will become very closer, and it may come, or a time will come when you will not even find that disparity.
The collection and distribution of zakat continued throughout the year in all the districts. In Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
As a demonstration of synergy and resolve for effective operation against criminal acts, public relations officers of various security agencies in Kaduna have held a route walk along major streets in the city. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachku reports.
With distinct operational strategies and tactics, but similar responsibility of image making and public relations for their respective agencies, military personnel, the police, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Department of State Service, Customs, Immigration and Prison Services came together for the endurance trek that started from the Murtala Muhammad Square, Kaduna, to major streets in the city. Forum of Public Relations Officers of these security agencies envisaged that synergy among them will assist in information sharing and peer review among staff in tackling challenges of insecurity in Kaduna State.
We have one common interest and purpose, that is to ensure safety and security of the populace.
Representative of Kaduna State Government, spokesperson of the governor, Samuel Arwan, said proactive measures have been taken to mitigate all acts of criminality in the state, hence appealed for public support to security agencies operating in the state.
People should expect more service delivery in terms of provision of adequate security in Kaduna State. But what is also important for people to know is the fact that security is not a one-line traffic.
Collaborative efforts and peer review mechanism among and between security personnel such as this is expected to serve as a strong strategy towards fighting deviant acts in Kaduna State and beyond. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachku, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Kaduna Network Center. Is back to Kene in Abuja for continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Rukaya. For ages, peaceful coexistence has been the determinant of progress, growth, and development of any society. In this background report, Emmanuel Akil Ngombe takes a look at the role of traditional institutions in securing this priceless ingredient of coexistence called peace in present-day society.
Despite the incursion by Europeans and the replacement of the administration of the society by what is called democracy today, the traditional institution in Nigeria, especially in northern part of the country, the palace of the emir, is the seat of administration where decisions concerning the community are taken.
The role of the traditional institution in the country will not be overemphasized. They are the custodian of our culture, of our tradition. First of all, when you come to the community, you must see either the Mayangwa or Jawro or the district head or the village head, then before you see the emir.
With the emirs, they will call the Malams, they will call the rich, they will call the poor, they will call the farmers, they will call the herders, they will call, name it, and address them. Address in the sense that you tell them really, squarely, what is facing them. So people will listen.
Even though the emirs are not members of the State Executive Council, government convenes various kinds of security meetings with them to brief them on government policies and programs for effective dissemination to the grassroots. In Gombe State, for instance, the government organizes security meetings periodically with the emirs as important stakeholders. They meet with other security agencies to discuss the way forward in the protection of lives and property of the people.
All security agencies have agreed to ensure that they do their work to enable the people sleep well.
The Police Community Relations Committee will liaise between the community and the police. As police, main role is to enforce and also ensure security of our lives and properties.
The manner of passing down the intent of government by the traditional leaders to the people has not changed much from the ancient ways. It is mostly through various traditional title holders who would be invited to the palace. Alternatively, the people would be called upon to converge on the palace to receive the emir's message. Besides special occasions for passing of information on security matters, health programs like vaccination, agriculture, environmental care and protection, the traditional institutions have broad spectrum of collaborative activities with the government for the good of the people.
It will be very, very good, very, very necessary if government will use the traditional rulers. It will go a long way to bring peace in the country.
The traditional rulers are the native authority. They are very equal to the people. Once they talk to the people, people are listening to them.
If the state is not in order, they are said they will not be at peace.
Another way of uniting the people by the traditional rulers is through organizing cultural events. In such gatherings, the leaders have the opportunity to understand the people better, hear their views on social, religious, political and economic issues, and together they find solutions to common problems. With this, the traditional institutions foster peaceful coexistence in the society. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Traditional rulers in Zamfara State said recognizing the institution as critical stakeholder and instrument of peace building will create a more effective and efficient conflict prevention initiatives in the country. This is primarily to stem the tide of security challenges the state and Nigeria are facing. Correspondent Haliru Muhammad Umar reports.
Security as a basic human need is important to the community and requires the commitment of all stakeholders to achieve. Traditional rulers are key players in security administration of their domains because they operate at the grassroots of the society and serve as custodians of people's customs, traditions and cultural heritage, thereby managing conflicts and violence arising among or between members of the community. In Zamfara State, NTA News has observed that most conflicts, if not all, start from localities within which the traditional rulers have strong base and significant control. It is, however, apparent that despite their efforts, traditional rulers are handicapped as their power is not sanctioned by the Constitution, which makes them to only play advisory role in security management.
There was from outside Clarocot
do some security help, but all the time we are overwhelmed.
Traditional rulers in the state have over the years formed part of security meetings, been summoned by both the state governor and chairman of their respective local government areas. The state government now seems to be more concerned about the relevance of the traditional institutions, as the governor recently visited all the 17 emirate councils across the state, where he solicited for more support from the traditional rulers and other stakeholders, as well as requested them to submit a report on security situation in their domains. The traditional rulers had this week presented the report containing suggestions to the state governor, which he assured to effectively implement through the setting up of committees at each of the emirate councils in the state. All said and done, there is strong evidence that traditional rulers remain relevant in addressing the security situation in Zamfara state, because they still command respect and interact closely with people in their localities. Stakeholders believed that with constitutional recognition and assigning of roles, traditional rulers will contribute significantly to security administration in their areas of jurisdiction. In Gusau, Halir Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
Now, relief seemed to be on the way for the war-ravaged South Sudan, as warring factions have signed a peace accord to end the 5-year-old war in the country. For these and other stories trending around the globe, let's join Ado Adamo also.
Thank you and welcome. We start in Africa, where the leaders of South Sudan's warring side have agreed in principle on key issues for a possible accord to end the country's civil war, now in its 5th year. According to a post on the Facebook by South Sudan's President Salva Kiir, he met with rebel leader Riek Machar in Uganda on Saturday for 10 hours of negotiations mediated by Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni and Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir. The two sides reached agreement that Machar would be reinstated as first vice president, and there would be 4 vice presidents in all, including 1 woman. The statement said further consultations will take place before the peace accord is finalized. Last month, Kiir and Machar agreed on a permanent ceasefire that began June 30th, but was violated within hours. At least 100 people are believed to have died after heavy rainfall caused flooding and landslide in western Japan, while more than 50 others are missing. A government spokesman says since Thursday, part of western Japan have received 3 times the usual rainfall for the whole of July. 2 million people have been ordered to evacuate as rivers burst their banks. An official in Okoyama said that water levels were gradually receding and that emergency teams may be able to access the worst hit areas on foot. Tens of thousands of rescuers, including police and soldiers, are taking part in such operations. And divers in Thailand have resumed the high-risk operation to extract the remaining boys and their football coach from a vast flooded cave system. This is coming from the head of the mission, who says the rescue was paused overnight for an air tank to be replaced. Reports say 8 boys have been rescued so far. The boys became trapped in the cave on 23rd June after heavy rains caused flooding, but were found alive last week by divers. And that is it from here. The news continues.
Thank you, also. International Swimming Federation, in conjunction with Nigeria Aquatic Federation, organized training courses to regain its lost glory in the sport as maiden table soccer tournament champion emerges in Lagos. Adeola Omokivia has details on our sports update.